Welcome back to my channel, Prosperous Living with Toya. As I have stated before and will continue to reiterate that I believe that the Bible is psychological. It is mind science. It is a blueprint about the psyche of the mind. With that being said, I want to get into the scripture that I will be referencing today. James 1 through 13 through 15, and this is the King James Version. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then, when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. In order to understand the metaphysical interpretation of this scripture, we must define what evil, sin, and death mean. And we need to ask ourselves before I get into those definitions, why do church organizations, regardless of what sect, denomination, regardless if it's Christianity, Islam, Judaism, whether not too familiar with Buddhism or Hinduism, but I do know they all have you focused on something from without those traditional ways of interpreting, as opposed to focusing on their inner being, the inner man. And the reason why they really can't give you a real interpretation, a real practical way of application of these biblical principles is because they don't know the meaning of it. They really think that God is some puppeteer, that he's tyrannical, that he's authoritarian, that we really don't have free will, we really don't have choice, that we're automatons, and that our life really is only to prepare for death as opposed to prepare for living. And the purpose of my platform is to get you to think outside the box, give you the power to transform your thinking and transform your life without looking outside of yourself or seeking someone else for help or validation. So again, remember, the Bible is mind science. It is psychological truth, and it's not referencing any specific human being who lived thousands of years ago. So there is no cause outside of self. And with that being said, the I am cannot be tempted by evil, or rather tested by that which is unlike itself. Every man, which is the mind, is tempted or tested by his or her own erroneous beliefs about the I am. That's what evil is. Right now I'm defining evil for you. Evil is erroneous thoughts, ignorance about God, which is thus ignorance about self. That's what evil is. And we have a choice on what we will believe. Let's not forget who God is, what God is. The very being within you is that invisible force that is inside, outside, all around us, but mainly is the spirit that dwells within man. And so remember God's name told us in Genesis that I am is his name, and that's his name will forever will be. And we do know every human being under heaven addresses themselves as I am. So the Bible is always letting you know that you are made in the image and likeness of all there is, and that which you worship, you are to emulate, you are to imitate. Paul, those who revere Paul, those who, especially in the Christian and I even think the Islamic world, not so sure, don't quote me on that, don't beat me over the head, but I know definitely in the Christian world, the Christian society, they esteem Paul on a very high pedestal. And he told you to be imitators of Christ, to put on the mind of Christ. But I don't think that Christians really understand how that can be applicable to their life. So I'm here to illumine you, to enlighten you on what this really means. And once you take the mystique and mystery out of the scriptures and stop operating from a fearful standpoint, then you can transform your world and start to experience heaven here on earth. Because that's really what the purpose of our life is, to bring heaven to earth. And so when we use the word I am and we say that I am sick, broke, unwanted, dejected, and depressed, we are commanding the I am, the spirit, the consciousness within, our own awareness to express those conditions. We are being drawn away by our own evil lust, which is fears, doubts, shame, ignorance, and erroneous thoughts. Because here's the thing, you would never think those things about God. And as I already emphasized to you and made plain to you, is that God's name is I am. Every person who says I am is speaking as though they were God, because you are the God of your own experience. Now, I'm not saying there are 8 billion gods running around. No, I'm saying there's one God individualized to each human being. We are all fractal parts. We are all divine sparks of the whole. We are all individualized versions of all that is. And so, what is sin? Or rather, what does it mean to sin? Sin means to miss the mark, to fall short, or to err from the faith. And whenever I keep reminding you that the Bible is psychological, the Bible is mind science, it's about how you think, it's about your mind, your imagination. So when you're sinning, you are basically missing the mark of the person that you desire to be. So when you say that you desire to be healed or to be healthy, and you continuously focusing on the pain and the hurt and the agony and the ailing body, you're perpetuating that version of yourself you no longer want to experience. So guess what you're doing? You're sinning. See, if you started to think righteousness, which would dispel sin, and so righteousness is what? Seeing yourself as you desire to be, embodying that version of you. And the way you embody the version of you that says that you are healthy is that you have to turn away from all of the anything that's telling you that you're not well. You are to imagine, use your mind to see yourself as healthy. What would it feel like? What would you be doing? Would you not be taking medication anymore? Would you not be having a lot of doctor visits or high medical bills? Like, that's where you should be thinking from. And you also can use affirmations, and you're saying, I remember when I couldn't do this particular activity. Now my body feels amazing. Now my body feels well. Now my body feels, just dynamic. That's you living from a righteous standpoint. But whenever you decide that you're going to focus on the being that you don't want to be, that is you sinning. See, sin has nothing to do with any moral concepts or what somebody else trying to tell you how to live your life. God said you are free to choose however you want to live your life. And you will experience those things that you personally believe. And so when you miss the mark in obtaining your desires, you have basically snuffed out or killed or brought about a death to realizing them. So hopefully most of us in the spiritual community, those who were led to this channel, understand, or maybe you've never heard me say that death is an illusion, We don't die, not the real us. I'm not talking about the shell. I'm not talking about this meat suit. I'm not talking about the body. I'm talking about the true self, the invisible self, the I am. That never dies. That's eternal. It's energy. And as we learned in science, energy is neither created nor destroyed. It is just transferred. So when we put off this shell that we call the human anatomy, the body, we will transition into another form. We will go back to an invisible version of ourselves and continue on this journey eternally because life is infinite, life is forever. As we're told in the Bible, there is no beginning or no end to life. Life just is. And so the Bible is not literal, but psychological. It is referring to the human imagination, our psyche. God is our awareness of being. Your I am, your consciousness, and again, like I said, it's not this flesh and blood being that we see masquerading as a person. The persona is the mask that the I am wears. He is every one of us individualized. We must understand that. There must be something that we can want to become one with. We want to get a clear understanding of who we are. And look, if you want to remain any particular or connected to any particular religious sect because that brings you joy and happiness, by all means do it. This platform is to take the scales off your eyes, to unveil the mystery that the churches, just the religious sects, they just aren't willing to or aren't able to do because they themselves are blind leading the blind. And if the blind are leading the blind, you all fall into a ditch, which is why people are wondering why people go to church and are still in the same situations. They go to church and they cry out to this being on the outside of them to fix all of their problems and they want to remain the same. But the Bible, the teachings of this central figure that they worship and speak and say his name 20, 30 times a day has told them that they must be born again. They must have a renewing of the mind. They must be transformed in the spirit if they want to experience anything differently in their lives. And they have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to transform your thinking, transform your beliefs. And once you transform your thinking and you take on new beliefs, your behaviors automatically follow. It automatically. That's why the Bible tells you to be still. So you still your mind, you still your thoughts, and you make them become one with your desire, whatever that is, whatever it is you want to do. And so remember, you are the operant power. And this Bible is telling us over and over again how to use our mind to get the desires of our hearts. And the Bible continually reaffirms and reaffirms that as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. To be not conformed to this world, but be renewed by, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So you cannot say that the reason why you're experiencing what you're experiencing is because of some devil or because of God. This scripture clearly states that it is you, that you are the reason for your temptations. You are the reason for your trials and your tribulations. God has nothing to do with it, and neither does a devil. But we know we create devils because we don't want to take accountability for our life. It's easy to create a scapegoat. So we will say that there's an evil spirit lurking around the corner that's keeping us from doing the thing we want to do because we have just become so accustomed to failure, to mediocrity, to fear, to doubt, but it takes a mind that wants to be different. All you have to do is decide that you want to be different, and then the way for you to be different will be shown unto you. So, again, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. I mean, I don't even know how much more plainer you need to hear that. For those who are the studier of the scriptures, those who understand scripture, for you to try to combat that scripture or to say that the Bible is contradictory, give me another scripture that tells me that God or the devil is the reason for your life being in shambles and that you have no accountability, that your hands are washed of it. If God don't fix it, it won't be fixed. And if the devil leave you alone, life will be better. Just show me where there is a scripture that confirms that way of thinking, because it's not. The change is laid at your feet. You are responsible for changing your mind. You are responsible for the thoughts that you think, because you're the only thinker in your world. You believe whatever you believe based on your acceptance of what you've been told. And so I'm trying to tell you and remind you that be open your mind. Stop letting people tell you you're less than, that you can't have certain things, that it's only given to certain people, and trying to figure out how you're going to get it and why you don't have it, and just see yourself as already being it. And when you give your focus and your attention to your desire and you embody it and you become one with it, you are married to it, you are in union with it, it must show up in your world. So with that being said, I want to thank you all again for tuning into my channel and subscribing. Please like, share, and comment. Let me know your understanding of the scriptures, or if you need some scriptures to be illuminated for you. Now, I'm not going to say I understand every particular scripture, but those scriptures referring to us how to transform our thinking and to empower us to be greater than we ever thought we could be. I got you. I got you. And once again, until next time, be blessed.